have 3 more pieces to add to my mini capsule wardrobe that I've been sewing this week. Grey and burgundy, 2 shirts, 1 cami, lovely details, even a tulip hem on a short sleeve shirt, showing you how to do that, a shacket. Really enjoy the details and I'm super excited to share, so stay tuned. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome back to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and I have exciting items to share today. If you've been following the content this week, you know I had ambitious plans to sew a mini capsule wardrobe this week. 7 garments. It turns out I actually got only 4 of those done. I got the key pieces done. As it turns out, 24 hours isn't enough for all the things I want to do in my head, and I'm really ambitious and think, yeah, I can do it, but then I always forget how long it takes to make the actual video, the editing, and so yeah, I got the main pieces done and I'm excited to share 3 of them today. I am using Love Notion's patterns. Today is Friday and it's the last day of the 40% off site-wide sale, so if you've still been browsing, you still have a couple of hours to have a look. Don't forget to use my affiliate link for your shopping. It doesn't cost you any extra, but it really does support the work that I do here on YouTube. And don't forget to use my code Karina10. Any day, every day, you always get a 10% off. Even if there's a sale, it'll go on top of that, so that is awesome. My plans were to make 2 camis. I was using the Luna loungewear pattern. One was going to be a print. Didn't get around to that one, but I did sew the grey one that I had intended to sew. I used an athletic knit and it turned out really nice. It's going to go really well under my shirts, and I really needed one in this color just to tie the outfit together. Really, it's so much better than what you can buy. I mean, the quality is so much nicer than the ones I've got in a cupboard there from the shops. Really thin, cheap material, but this is so much better. I've made this so many times and it's always enjoyable. What I did this time was add a V neckline with a V neckband there on the front, just to make it different. I have a video on the channel showing you how you can add a V neckband onto anything. So if you have a favorite pattern that has a round neckline, you can change that. And I've even got a downloadable template, a PDF that you can download with some V neckbands. So have a look at that if you want to have some fun. So this is super simple and it will just go perfectly in the grey burgundy color scheme of this mini capsule wardrobe. It's very mini, but I'm gonna keep adding to this color scheme because I really enjoy it. So that's the first piece. You'll see it later styled under my shirts. You have already seen my summer key pants in the previous video. I used burgundy in linen. On camera it looks red, but it really is burgundy, believe me. And I styled it with a grey and white stripy terra tunic situation that fit right into this capsule collection. So I am pulling things that I already have because they just go together super well. Another garment I already had that inspired this whole collection was my grey linen Uppbeat coat, which I didn't make like a coat, I made it more like a blazer. It's shorter, it's unlined, more of a lighter layer, and it's grey and I had not many things to go with. So in the previous video, see all those 3 items styled together. I think it's a really nice outfit. And the summer key pants, what can I say, that tulip hem is everything. I love it. And so for my Aria shirt that I was planning to make with that same linen, I decided to add that same tulip cuff detail here on the short sleeves, and I figured out how to do it. I practiced it first on muslin and it turned out amazing, so then I filmed it for you. If you want to have a little bit of fun and do something like this, it can just make your outfit super unique. No one else is going to have your tulip hem on the cuff, and you can do it anywhere on any pattern that you have, pants, the bottom of a long sleeve, anything. So have a look. It's really fun to sew up, and I was so happy while I was doing this. Yeah, I was just really happy. For all these pieces, I do things that I do with all of the sewing. Basically, for collars and areas that need to be interfaced, I block fuse, and I repeat it over and over because I get a question every single time. You basically take the pattern piece that you want interfaced, but you don't cut the interfacing separately. So you take a piece of fabric that is slightly larger than that, you fuse that piece of fabric, which is always so much easier. Then you put your pattern piece on top and then you cut it out. So that's how I do the plackets, the collars, all of those things. I'm going to show you how I'm going to create the tulip cuffs for this short sleeve. So I'm using the Aria shirt pattern, but you can do this to any sleeve. You can do it to the bottom of a long sleeve also. So this is the cuff that would go there. It would just be a rectangle that you saw on the round. That's a traditional cuff. But I'm just going to use the same one, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually cut this apart. I can easily print this again if I want to. I'm just going to fold this in half lengthwise because that is the way the cuff is sewn. Like that. I'll just put it aside, and what I'm going to do to the sleeve is just fold it in half like this. You'll see it won't match the notch on the top. That doesn't really matter at all. So from this edge here at the center, I'm going to measure 3 inches up. This is what I've already done and tested, and it looks really good. And then from that little line, I'm going to make a diagonal line up to this other corner on the seam of the sleeve. And I'm just going to repeat that over here. So I've drawn this on the wrong side of the sleeve. Don't worry about that. Now what we're going to do, and it's so easy, just take this. It's going to be an excess of length, don't worry. But place this edge right here against your red line right there, and just move it along. Just move it along here until you have quite a bit left over there. And now you're going to take your ruler and draw that line that you have under there so that you have the same angle. Another thing you're going to do is mark the grain line. So I can see the grain line from the other side of the pattern. This is the grain line of the sleeve right there. Just continue that line and mark the grain line here on this new cuff piece. And then over on this edge, just get your ruler and follow the same angle that you have here. So it's coming in slightly, and now this is going to be the cuff piece. So let's just cut this, keeping this paper folded. And then over here, this is the grain line. I'm just going to extend it a little bit more so it's easier to place on fabric. This is going to be the center. That's just going to write it there so it's easy to know. And over here, the angle is quite different, so it's quite easy to see. And then you're just going to cut away. And these are the new pattern pieces. If you've seen my video about the summer key pants that have the tulip hem, it's a very similar concept, only this shape is a little different because this is a different shape here on a sleeve. You're going to cut 2 pairs mirrored. One's going to be this way, one's going to go that way, and you're going to have a little bit of an overlap there. So I'm just going to cut out my sleeve pieces, and once I get to that stage, I'll just quickly show you how to put this together. It is a little different. I want to have a clean edge under the arm, so I want to avoid the bulk. So it's going to be a little bit different to what I did with the pants, but in this area, it's going to be the same. These are the modified sleeve pieces for what I'm doing. So we've got the notches up there. Everything's the same. It's just that we have this V cutout section. I have already marked my dot there where I need to pivot later on when I sew the tulip cuff. But for now, what I've done is serge these because I want to sew these and press them open. It's going to avoid the bulk, especially because it's going to be a cuff there. So just take them, put them right sides together like you would sew any sleeve, and get this sewn and then the seam pressed open. With this type of fabric, you can get away with finger pressing and not go to the iron if you want to. I just do this accordion type thing and it's pressed. Beautiful. So I'll just repeat that on this other sleeve, and then we'll put the cuff together. So I have my tulip cuff pieces here. These angles here are the ones that are going to overlap on the center, and then these more shallow angles are going to be on the underarm seam. I'm going to take 1 pair. What I want to do is sew this seam. This is going to be under the arm, so I want this to be neat. So all we're going to do is sew this at 3/8 seam allowance and then press it open. So when I created this cuff piece, because I used the original pieces of the shirt, it already includes the 3/8 seam allowance. So I can press this open right here on the top of this angle. I'm just going to take a notch out of the way just to reduce the bulk in that area. I know this makes no sense right now, but it will in a sec. Let's just open this up and press the seam. I'm doing it with my fingers just because it's easy, like that. And now we're going to fold it wrong sides together like this. And now we already have this edge finished for the cuff. This is going to match the seam of the sleeve. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other sleeve, and then just go over to the iron and press this like this. Wrong side of the fabric is inside. Here we have one of the sleeves. It doesn't really matter which of these cuffs you pick. I've got 2. They are identical. What I've done here on this little V point is the same thing I did with my pants. I just did a stay stitch around the pivot point there, about 1 inch both sides, and I'm gonna snip into there. So that's ready. And now I'm gonna take this, I'm doing it like this. So I have the raw edges at the bottom and I have the folded edge on the top. The reason I have a pin on this side is because this is the one that's going to be on the back part of the sleeve, and I want to wrap them mirrored. So I'm gonna have the back one on the bottom and the front piece, or the side that's gonna go on the front part of the sleeve on the top. So I'm gonna take these and just overlap them. So the one that's got the pins at the bottom, and so we just align all these edges right here, and I'm gonna just baste that close to the edge so that I have a completed cuff on the round like this. Okay, so there we have one completed cuff on the round, and this is the sleeve I was working with. I'm going to keep my sleeve wrong sides out like this, and then I'm going to put my cuff inside. I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the pants right there, and just align that tip there of the tulip, the overlap, with my dot here where I'll pivot. And now I'm just going to pin everything on the round with the cuff inside. The seam of the cuff is going to match the seam of the sleeve. This is why I wanted to have this open, not serged together, so it's less bulky here. And this is how we're going to sew the cuff on the round with this little area that has the pivot. Okay, so I've got my two cuffs inside, everything's pinned. This is the snipped area, and before I sew, I just want to confirm that they're mirrored properly. I've got the sleeves mirrored here. These are the double notches. This is going to go on the back, and when you look inside, you have this cuff going that way, and on this one you have this cuff going that way. So you can see that the cuffs have been overlapped, mirrored. I was really careful in this stage to check and double check that I sewed these on correctly. Now I know that I can definitely sew these and they will be mirrored, which is important. Here we're almost at the pivot point. Lift my presser foot, get the fabric out of the way, and do a few more hand crank stitches just to make sure, and then you just keep going on the round. So that's how that area looks. There's no pucker, so when we look at it from the right side, it looks really nice. So that is the tulip cuff. Of course it's looking rough right now because it hasn't been pressed, but it's so nice. I mean, it's just so unique, and yeah, I wanted to do this for a very long time, and it's easy. This is all neat. That seam has been sewn first, as you can see, and then that one meets that seam that was pressed open, so it's less bulky here. I think this is the best way to do a cuff like this that's on the round. So I'm just going to tuck that cuff back in. I still have my sleeve wrong sides out. All I need to do now is serge this, finish it, and then top stitch the cuff. I'm just going to edge stitch, and that'll fix the cuff in place and keep it flat. And then to sew on the sleeve onto the armhole, you do it the same as always. The cuff is done, and that's it. Such a fun process. I'm just so happy with this. This is my Aria shirt in burgundy. Might be looking a little burgundy right now with the lighting. It's not red, I promise. For the inner yoke, I used the same cotton lawn I used for the pockets, inner waistband on my summer key pants. No one's gonna see it, but I love it. And look, I have labels. It says lifting pins and needles. These were sent to me by a subscriber in Germany. I basically got them in my hands almost 3 years after they were sent. They got lost in the pandemic process, and yeah, it was a huge ordeal for me to get them, but I'm so grateful, and I'm gonna be putting them on special garments like this. So I think that looks really cute. There is the collar. These collars are both interfaced. I think it's important with this type of collar that's all in one, with the stand and the collar piece. You know, there's no seam there. So I think to keep the structure, you do need to interface both of them. And here is the star of the show. This is so pretty. It's just so cute. I love it. You know, when I wear this with my summer key pants, it's gonna tie them both together. Same detail there on the hems. I love that. It's one way to put my own twist to it. And I put chest pockets. The Aria has a shirt pocket. I made mine slightly larger. I hadn't used it in all my 5 previous versions, but I used it this time. And I just sewed the button right through. It's not functional, it's just for decoration. You know, with your buttonholes, always practice them first on a scrap to make sure you're happy with the size and everything. Never skip that. And then you just do all the buttonholes. I have 10. And it's because I like my buttonholes about 2 1/4 inches apart. I like to have a lot of buttons. And this one here is the one that matches my apex, the height of my bust. So that's really important for me. All the rest is the same Aria shirt. So nice. Box pleat on the back. I hand hem this. I didn't want to do it with the sewing machine because I thought it would look more delicate like this. I do have top stitching everywhere. You can see just edge stitching there, along that one there. You know, there's quite a lot of top stitching, so I thought let's just hand hem that, and I really love it. So let's see this on paired with my summer key pants and my grey cami. So it's a look for not so cold weather, in between weather, and I really love it. This is my Aria shirt paired with my summer key pants, both in burgundy linen. I know it looks red, but I promise it's burgundy. I love how they go together. I've also paired it with my grey Luna cami, and I'm just really happy to have this outfit. The Luna cami has a V neckline there, as you can see. That's a little hack. This is the collar of the Aria shirt. That's really easy to sew. I added chest pockets and put some buttons there in silver, lots of buttons, and the star of the show is the tulip hem on the short sleeves. I did it to mimic the hem of the summer key pants, and it was a really fun process. And it's just such an amazing shirt that I can wear open like this, laid back, or maybe just button up one of these buttons. Highly recommend this pattern. It's a really nice sew. Now the other Aria shirt I wanted to sew was going to be a shacket, a shirt jacket. So I think the ease of the Aria shirt is enough. I don't think you have to size up. At least I don't want to size up. I just made the same size, and that's fine. And I had a sort of heavier material. It still has some drape, suiting material, very loosely woven, which had a lot to do with some of the decisions I made for sewing. I knew because the material was so loosely woven and fraying everywhere that I didn't want to sew the button tower placket in the proper way. I didn't want to do all the snips and things. I knew later on it was going to have a hole and all that work just to weaken the area. I think some fabrics just aren't suitable for those sort of details. So I wouldn't want to sew welt pockets or anything that you need to snip in close to the seam because it's so loosely woven. So what I did was super easy, and no one's going to know from far away. At least if you don't sew, no one's going to know. I took my sleeve placket piece, you can see it there, and I just took the toe area and I just copied another little pattern piece, just the long section. So that was going to be my fake button tower placket that I was going to sew right on top where you have the line there. We have to cut and do the whole proper way. There's a line there. I was just going to sew that on top. So I did interface a little piece of linen there, block fusing as always. The fabric is already interfaced, and then I cut my little piece out, and then I folded all the edges in by 1/4 inch, hand basted that onto the line there, and got my fake tower placket. So that's one thing. Another thing I did was interface all of the pockets. So the Aria shirt has chest pockets there. I wanted some on the hips as well. I had a look at a lot of shackets online just for some inspiration, and I saw some that had pockets on the side, so I thought let's put a lot of patch pockets on there. I created my own flaps as well. So it's just rectangles. I took the chest pocket and just drew one larger, added 3/4 inch all the way around the chest pocket so that the one on the hips is slightly larger, and then just drew my own little flaps. Here it is. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I mentioned that I was going to use linen to sew the collar and the placket. It's especially this type of collar, you do need to snip into there. There are quite a few curves, and I know this fabric wouldn't have handled the details really well, so I didn't even want to go there. I think it looks nice with the contrast. When I close up here, you have black, gray and white there in the way it's being woven. It's so beautiful. So gray was perfect. It went perfect with the color scheme I was going for. So we have our collar in gray. The inner yoke is in gray also, and I have my little label there, so pretty. Then the placket down the front is gray as well, very nice. I have less buttonholes here than the other one. I have 8 instead of 10. I don't plan to wear this buttoned up like on its own. I think I always want it just like a shacket. I want to wear it open basically. And here are my patch pockets with the flaps. All of these pockets are functional. So there is the flap, the inside is the linen, the outside is the main fabric. So you can actually use them. I won't. And you can see the inside of my pockets are all interfaced just to give them a little structure, because or else it would have just been really floppy. So all my pockets are fully interfaced. I didn't interface the flaps though. So that's that. Chest pockets. Placement of these pockets, just play around, because I have so many of the Aria shirts sewn already. It was really easy for me to just put those on and start pinning and playing around with the placement of the chest pocket and the one on the hips. So that's how I determined where I wanted them to be. But it's really important for me to get this right, because I don't want these up too high above the bust, you know. Yeah. So at the bottom there's other ones here as well with the flaps that are also functional. I might actually put something in there later. I don't know. Probably won't, but I think they look pretty. This is the fake sleeve tower placket I was telling you about. So it's just the linen sewn on there in the same shape, but I don't actually have the technique or the snipping or anything. And then I have a cuff on the round. Look, my wrists aren't that big. I can get in and out, you know. I don't need that placket to open up for functionality. I can just put my hand in there really easily, and I have 3 buttons there. So pretty, so nice. And this one is also hand hemmed. I think by machine it would have looked terrible. It would have just ruined it all. That's how it looks inside. I've just serged the edges there. Nothing really fancy with the seam finishes. And this is just the type of shacket I wanted, something classic like this. I really dislike those plaid ones. Yeah, I just don't like plaid. I just cannot. My mom loves plaid. She has a bunch of shirts in plaid, all colors. All I see when I see those jackets like that is like a lumberjack and a man sweaty chopping wood in the forest. That's what I see. I just cannot. But this is perfect. Let me tell you how long this took. I probably was sewing this for about a day and a half. Every single detail here was hand basted, the pockets. Yeah, it just takes a long time to sew the way I like to sew, and I don't regret it because I'm always really happy with the result. But yeah, it took ages, which meant I wasn't able to finish some of the garments I had planned. No worries, I still will get them done eventually, and you'll see them because I really want to add pieces to this capsule collection. So let's see this one paired with my grey cami under and my summer key pants. You know, I always have fun with the shoes and the bags. So yeah, I'm starting to share those because I'm an avid lover of shoes and bags, if you don't know. Yeah. This is my second Aria that I made into a shacket of sorts. It's a suiting material in black, grey and white. And I've got some details in grey linen here, also paired with my summer key pants in burgundy and my Luna cami in grey, and you'll see the details up closer. I've added a few details like patch pockets on the hips and also on the chest. The curved hem is nice, and I've done all the hems by hand. I did a cheeky fake sleeve tower placket, as you can see there. Really easy to do, and I added some buttons. It's a really comfortable fit to wear open like a little jacket. I lost the video footage of the upper portion, the collar, but here you can see some photos. It's such a nice make. Really enjoyed the process. Really slow process, a lot of hand basting. So worth it, and I love this classic shacket. So that's my mini capsule. They ended up only being 4 pieces that I've sewn this time, plus the 2 that I added on, the Terra tunic plus the octave coat, and I'm just really happy with all this combination of garments. I know I want to keep adding to this. I have already ordered some rib knit in burgundy, so I plan to make some type of long sleeve top to go under my coat with that. You know that these items are going to pop up when I style my items that I'm going to keep on sewing. I'm just really happy to have them, and I hope this week was inspiring for you. I hope you got the patterns you wanted from Love Notions. You know, I have tutorials for maybe 90% of the patterns, and not only how to sew them in the way they were designed, I have a lot of hacks and other ideas also. So yeah, there's a lot to see on the channel. I put my heart and soul into this content, and I hope you really enjoy it. And what am I up to next week? I'm sewing jeans. I love sewing jeans, and there's a pattern coming from Love Notions called the Legato. This is exciting. I'm in the testing phase and I'm ready to sew my final pair. I've already done my muslin. Actually, my muslin is going to be super wearable. There are tweaks I can do to those to make them perfect, so there's not many changes I have to make. And there's going to be a petite, a regular and a tall version, so it's going to help with the fitting so much. And the test is going so well. The pants are fitting really well on a lot of people, so exciting times to come. I'm for sure going to be pairing those jeans with my Shacket and these things that I've been sewing these days. So it'll be jean packed next week. I'm also going to be sewing a shirt dress woven. Anyway, it's always fun. I'm always loving what I do and have the best job in the planet. I get to sew items I love, share those with you. What could be better? Thank you so much for sticking around and supporting the work that I do here, and I will see you next week. Bye.